Alright, here we are up TNT. I always just take a walk after the race, whatever. It's nice out. Take the shirt off, just take a walk around 12 noon. So I figured to make a video here, aftermath, right? Tnt MX aftermath, just so you guys can see where the ruts, what the common ruts are, and I don't know, just to walk through the track for maybe somebody who don't come watch the racing. Here's staging, whatever. What you're hearing is the horse racing up there, or horse staging. This is how they line them up, right? 3 or 4 races at a time here. Race last night, couple quad accidents, couple dehydration accidents. So the EMTs were needed last night because it was steam box. Yeah, I think I drank probably 8 bottles of water and I didn't piss once. That's how bad we were sweating. But whatever. Good night of racing overall. Had some good riders come in. Good B class. Quite a number in the A class, a lot of quads, so what the fans wanted to see. So here we are. Gates 1 and 2, you can see my paint job here is no longer, of course. Gates 1 and 2. And this is usually all raked up pretty, right? But you can see the aftermath, we're calling this, a TNT here. So if you've never seen the drop gate, this is how they do it. It's all high, crank it up and then let her fall kind of thing. This is July 12th here, 2025. It's beautiful out, so I decided to take a little walk instead of going around the track and the school like I usually do. I decided to come up here and just take a spin, see if I found any lost and found kind of thing. Bubba T did good last night. He's really doing well on the whole shot. That's what's really helping him this year. He's coming out of here hotter, with more confidence. Here's your whole shot. You can see not much room here. We had a nice D class, if you want to call it nice. But there's your gate, right? You're coming about, I don't know, 30 yards out to your whole shot. You had D class all piled up right here. We had about 10 bikes all tangled up, and then 2 guys took off and ended up winning. So anything can happen. Grandstands, you can see we painted the box green. That thing has been white since I've been 10 years old, so we made it green and lettered it up for them. So Lawrence County Fair owes us for that because they had an ugly white box and we made it nice for them. So Bubba T, if I'm talking about my son anyway, so when he sees this later in life or whatever, did very well. He said he dumped it in open B, so he took 6th in open B. He said he wrecked down on his favorite tire. You'll see the horseshoe. Here's our step on, step off. He did win schoolboy, which is 14-17. Did very well in that. Jace Wells is one of his buddies. He come up and went toe-to-toe with Jace, and then Jace took off for the second moto. So I'm not sure if he got sick or heat exhaustion or whatever, but Jace was ripping good. Nice kid. So Bryce took 250B. Open B. Him and Kaiser went at it, and I think Jace didn't show up. Bryce ended up taking the 1 on that, which was a good race. I like to see those guys. Those 3 are pretty equal in my opinion. Jace, Kaiser, and Bubba T are pretty equal. So when those guys get out front, it's a pretty good battle. Here's the banana curve, I call it, because it goes way up high, right? Everybody likes the inside, as you can see. Nobody runs this high banana, I call it, because you can't even see the other side of the track unless you come all the way up over it, and then you can see it. That's why on race night, that section there is dark. That needs to improve, I think, because this here is all dark. This here is lit up very well, as you can see. I call this the banana curve. Clearly the inside is the money route, but I was watching Kaiser and Bryce, the better guys, if you want to call it. They was coming right here, and they was splitting this. They was going there, and then they was cutting and roosting straight into this double. Or excuse me, triple. So a lot of guys was not confident. We'll roll that. The better guys, of course, are hitting this into a triple, right? Which there ain't much of a lip here, so I'm not sure how these guys are tripling this because there ain't much at all of a lip there. But better guys, we're doing it. Triple here, triple out, and then you're almost 2 triples. You're almost at the turn. These are all whoops. Not very big, as you can see, but yeah, you can triple there, into there, then hit this and triple out. And then you got, I guess, there's no way of really, tripling the next set here. So there's 9 whoops total, but there's no lip here to triple out. So you got to ride these 2, 3 out. And of course, the inside's popular. Nobody's running that outside. You can see after all the dirt's getting thrown, whatnot. A lot of good races, a lot of quad flips last night. It was kind of weird. We've been doing well up here. We had a lot of quad flips. Here's the sky jump that just sends you down into the second half of the track. The issue last night was quad flips and everything else, and then parents running on the track. So we almost had about 3 or 4 parents get run over. And we're not talking about little quads. We're talking about big quads, right? 450s and everything. So we had to warn those guys to trust the staff with the flaggers to, of course, be sure their kid or loved one is safe. And then, of course, if they needed any kind of medical attention, for sure, we was going to get the EMTs to them. Instead, yeah, we had one wreck up here. We had 5 or 6 parents just run on the track. It's like pretty much like running across 422 without looking. That's crazy. But we warned them. In second moto, they did well. But we understand we love their kids, and we love them too. So we're always going to do the right thing for them. We don't need 20 adults on the track. Anyways, this comes down right here. The inside is not popular, right? Except for like the inexperienced riders. Everybody that has the experience runs the outside rail here. As you can see, it's almost a rail, right? You can almost just peg your bike and just run that wall. And I call this the double camelback. It's a big hole here. I'm not sure how that got there. Look at it. That's a deep hole for no reason. It's about 8 inches deep. I call this the double camelback. So obviously, most of the guys will hit this whatever and then hit this tabletop. And then the better guys, right, we're talking A, B guys, they're going to hit this and triple this, which I just counted the fences over here. If you triple this, you're hitting a 75 foot. That's a pretty good launch off of this. Like you said, from up here, you can see the whole thing pretty good. It's got a pretty good, I'm standing up probably a good, I don't know if I had to guess, I'm up about 8 feet, 8 to 9 feet. But yeah, you got to run that rail hard. You got to run that rail hard. Roll that first camelback, and then come up here and launch. Right, and those guys are launching right there. And by the counting of the fences at 10 feet, that's 75 feet. From here to here, 45, right? Most of the guys are hitting here. The better guys are landing here, which that's a hell of a jump for an amateur track, and that jump isn't real big. But you can see where they're landing right here. And like I said, basically from that pole to me, if you count the 10-foot sections of fence, that's 75 feet. That's a pretty good launch with only an 8-foot lip. So those guys were doing it. That's what made the A and B class exciting to watch, because those guys were launching. And then the ever famous horseshoe turn, right? Nobody knows what to do here. This tire here, Bryce loves it. I'm gonna get this tire signed for him, because Bryce seems to like to rub this tire sometimes, and he gets stuck on it. And then when he gets stuck on it, he tips his bike over. So he's got to work on that a little bit, which is fine. But obviously everybody's coming here. Nobody's running that outside rail. So I think, I don't know, when guys come off of that triple, in my opinion, they're slowing way down to make this 90-degree turn. I don't know. If I'm a good ripper, I'm going to run that outside rail wide open. I think that's the advantage, but I don't race. But that's my opinion, right? So when DJ's downshifting here to come around and rip out, you could be on that outside rail full send. But clearly the guys that run AB know more than me. So that would be my opinion if I was coaching somebody, but I'm probably wrong, because just like anything, the shortest distance is what you want to take. So that's double camelback. That's your horseshoe turn, which is full of sand. And when it rains, sand and mud, if you ain't got some momentum in there, yeah, you're going to dump it. Like Bryce struggled in there a few times where he went in not hard enough or following a guy, right? And when he followed a guy, he had to hit the brakes. He got in that mud and that sand, and it was just too much for him because he's not that strong yet. So if you're going to come in the horseshoe turn, especially on a rainy day, you better have momentum. You better keep the horse running. And just a little sky jump out. This is where guys get their good speed, because there ain't much here but a couple rollers. And like we said, this track's 3/8 a mile. We already walked it. 3/8 of a mile wrong. Big guys are doing 4 laps. Little guys are doing 3. So pretty much whatever you want to figure, almost 2 miles. 2 miles of racing in 4 minutes, somewhere in there. Here's another one I cannot figure out, because if you look here, everybody takes the inside here, which is a little, obviously, a little humpback, I call it. There's a little humpback here. Why you wouldn't run that fresh dirt wide open, right? Because you can come wide open from there. That's a good 40 yards. From there to there to there to there to there. That's all fresh dirt and wide open. Look, still no jumps, right? This is the boomerang. We call this the boomerang turn because look how long it is. It looks like a giant boomerang. It seems like everybody takes the inside there again. Where look, you can hold that thing to the floor full send for a good shit. That's almost 60 yards, right? Around here to here. No jumps, no rollers, no nothing. It's basically a drag race around a boomerang turn, right? If you can see, obviously it looks like a boomerang. To here. And then we're coming up to the finish, of course, where you have it splits, right? So you can hit the tabletop, which is the popular, or 2 rollers. So there's been a couple good races where guys have split this, but obviously you intersect at the end. Nice lip here. This will throw you a good 40 feet. We measured this out. This is a 40-foot 40-foot tabletop, as you can see in the middle of the track. There's your gate again. There's your boomerang. Right, or you can roll it. So now you can split track. This is like 79. You want to race down 79, I'll take the inside, you take the outside. And then you can see how everybody convenes again. At the finish line. So you come together, as you can see, you come together. 2 different lines. And there's something about this, I don't know what it is. I'm not a racer of any kind, but obviously I've watched a lot of it in the last 5-7 years. There's something about this that guys are afraid of because guys aren't clearing this. Right, this is only 35 feet and you got a pretty good lip here. And I would bet you, if I had to be honest, maybe a quarter of the racers hit this finish line and clear it. So I don't know if it's about the landing here, because you are landing hard and then going into 3 rollovers, but you can see that's not very far, and that's a nice lip right there at our gate. So maybe someone can answer that for me, how, like, you know, I don't know, maybe 50 of the 200 riders we had up here hit that. Obviously not the little kids, whatever, but like, yeah, 65s are not hitting that, 85s, some are. So I'm not sure if it's because of the landing here, because as soon as you land, of course, you got to stay on your horse. 2 rollers. I just like to make these videos to see how bad the track gets beat up and what everybody takes. But just here gets sketchy, I think, during race night, because sometimes you got 2-3 wide bikes coming through here, and obviously there's 2 different lines here, especially when you get up there, right? Which we're just going to show you there. There's the on off, so we don't have to. We did the banana already with the on off. Right, this is a nice launch here onto a tabletop. Right, this was supposed to be a big triple, but they was worried about kids not being able to triple that, which makes sense. So they filled this. This is now a tabletop. Right, all this right here where I'm standing should be hollowed out, where you can either double that, or triple that. Right now it's tabletop, so it gives you the option. Just land on the table, rip it off the table, and then you have a decision. There's your 2 lines. So a lot of the good racers, AB guys, right? They were doing what they told you. The guy in first took over here. The guy in second was taking over here. So it got sketchy here a little bit. I don't know, when I watched anyways, because some of these guys were doing off. Right, this is only 6 foot wide jump, and there was 2 guys going off at the same time. Right, and we measured this out to be 45 feet. That's 45 feet. This one here is 25, right? If you come off of this side or this lane, 25 from there, or launch from there to there, at 45. Yeah, and it was at times, at least during like the B class where there was a lot of guys in the C class. Yeah, there was 2 and 3 bikes at a time in the air. So yeah, it got interesting who could keep control of their bike, because wow, you're jumping 45 feet in the air, side by side. Yeah, and you only got a 6-foot pad to land on. It got interesting for sure. And then obviously you land here. You got about a 30-yard drag race, I guess you'll call it, to the corner. This here didn't get beat up too bad. Once again, everybody, I don't know, somebody's got to explain it to me. Nobody was taking that, I guess. That's a pretty big roller to slow you down. So everybody was cutting this in half, which makes total sense, right? So instead of rolling over that and hitting the brakes, guys were cutting this in half, which you can see. Or some guys were running an outside rail here because you can see how high the berm is. A lot of good passing was done here. Bryce did a good job. A couple of times he snuck right in here. Guys were running this, and he just snuck over this real quick and cut inside, and he gained a lot of places right here by just cutting inside while that guy ran the rail half-ass. And then a little sky jump, and then you're back to the start again, right? A 20-yard drag race, and you're back at the beginning again. That's one lap here at TNT, and you can see how far the dirt's worn down. It's not even chopped up anymore, right? And there is your gate. And that is a 3/8 mile walk around Tnt MX here the day after. Beautiful day. I wish I could convince these guys that run this to run a Saturday race, because I think right now kids would love to be racing. Maybe just a one moto thing would be awesome, right? Where we come up here and just run one moto. I don't even know if that's worth dragging your bike up, but it is kind of hot. But it's a beautiful day not to use this track. So we're gonna go over and out here. We made you, geez, it's almost a 20-minute video. I didn't think it would take me that long to get around it. 20-minute video, TNT aftermath here, race 4, July 12th, up at the Lawrence County Fair. So you can see where the popular spots are. We'll be back here in 2 weeks on July 27th for race 5. And then we're coming back again August the 2nd for our makeup rain night of race 2. And then we'll be back August the 12th on fair night. Fair night's always nice because why? One moto, right? One moto you come in here for, and they rip hard for the show, for the fair basically, or the entertainment if you want to call it that. So these guys like to rip hard in front of the fans, which hopefully this year they come out. Motocross hasn't been like the popular thing, or naturally it has rained. So there we are, TNT walkthrough for you guys, aftermath of racing Friday night. Over and out.